Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peeps and seeps, welcome back to the Mac Life, the #1 podcast here in the world. We're back for episode 143. If you're new to the channel, we go over absolutely everything to do with making money online, okay? Growing your brand online, monetizing that brand, Onlyfans marketing for creators, and Onlyfans management, so how to manage girls and make shit tons of money online. If you're new to the channel as well, okay, the way in which we do this is in podcast style format. So we go over a lot of updates to begin with, almost like a little bonding session with me and you. I drop a lot of value in terms of business, and then we get into the crux of the information at the end. So today we'll be looking at how to make money on OnlyFans, okay? And this is a method that is 100% working now. So at the time of watching this video, I still feel this will be the most powerful method for years to come. And the way in which you can scale this is insane. And you must remember, okay, with scaling comes complexity, so we don't need to add anything else. If you just follow these methods, you're going to make money on OnlyFans. Now, before you do that, hit subscribe, okay? And if you're on Spotify, because now this is on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, everywhere else, hit the follow button, okay? Because I drop these every single day. And if it doesn't appear like they're dropping every single day on Spotify and everything like that, it's because I bulk upload them. So essentially, I post these live every single day. I record and I post on YouTube 4 to 5 videos a day on YouTube. And then after that, once I've done a certain amount in bulk, I pay a dude. He goes through and uploads them to Spotify, to Google Podcasts. And I know I could do it myself by going to Anchor and doing these certain things, but it just takes extra time out of my day. And with the amount of content that I create, it's a lot easier to just do it in bulk. So if you want the privilege of watching these live each day as they come out, I recommend going to YouTube and hitting subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hitting subscribe and hitting the bell notification, because I take the comments in these videos very, very seriously. Let me fucking laptop. I take the comments extremely seriously, and I do the best to put out the videos that you guys want to see as well. So now we have a few updates to get through, and then we're going to get into the OnlyFans strategy. I'll give you a little rundown. Essentially, we'll be looking at profile optimization on OnlyFans. So setting yourself up from the beginning for success, because that's the most important thing, making sure you got the fundamentals there. Then we're going to go over marketing and scaling, okay, in the short term. And then we're going to go over long format marketing as well to do with OnlyFans. Now, you hear me talk about this all the time in business. I always say this is the beginning. And recently I've been saying this is the end of the beginning. And if you wonder why I've been saying that, it's because I built my businesses to a point now where I know I'm not at the beginning anymore. And I no longer need to use that terminology. And I've realized how common it is in my language pattern to say, just the beginning, just the beginning. But we're no longer at the beginning. You know, I've put in the reps now where I've gone, like I said, from that, I used to be that little almost timid cat, like learning to walk, learning to balance the beam, to that straight up fucking alley cat with the swagger. If you've ever seen that show, I used to watch it as a kid. I used to watch it with my sister. It was called Aristocats. Yeah, that was a banger. And it was all about like the alley cats and shit. So now I've got that cool blues walk. And that happens when you develop skill sets, you develop, capital, obviously. And this is something that it may just sound like I'm flexing, but it's not, because it's very important that you understand about putting in the work and putting in the reps. And I'm going to get into detail in that in a second. But I don't want to deviate from the point of this being the end of the beginning. Okay, so we're in the stage 2 operations now. Stage 1 was the grunt work, putting in the years, and no one wanted to put in the years. Had success throughout those years. I had many failures, many failures, and many successes. And now I'm at a point where all my businesses, I know how to make. I can take any business essentially now in the space that I'm comfortable with, know if it's going to work or not right from the get-go, and make it highly profitable. Like inside the Hive, I recently dropped a winning product idea for everyone. And I dropped this the day before yesterday. We already have people making sales with it on Marketplace and then looking to follow the scaling plan and turn it into a 7-figure brand. And it's just like, I know if I was to dedicate my time to that, I could turn it into a 7-figure brand. But it's just like, when people watch videos and they say, well, why don't you do that? You don't understand how capped you are as a person by time. Once you live out your ideal day and you already make significant amounts of money, it's like, you can't jeopardize what you're doing now to focus on the fun new thing. Because by doing that, you will always be not poor, but you will never reach that higher level of scale. And it's essentially, you know, for a period of my career, I was jumping around, chopping, changing, trying different things, having success, 6 figures, 7 figures. But, you know, once you find what it is that you are just talented at, you can stick with it and build on that. So, and it's a buy. What you don't understand though as well is within that phase where you're chopping, changing, learning things, learning new skills, even if you're not seeing success, you don't understand the skills that you are acquiring now are fundamental. They're bioaccumulating for your success later on, and you cannot succeed without them. Like for me to say I can launch any business and be profitable, that is not arrogance. It comes from understanding that I have connections. Okay, I understand how product research works. I understand how to validate a product. Say this is an e-commerce business, for example. I understand all the fundamentals of scaling and what's going to stop me from scaling. I have connections that I can reach out to and say, hey bro, do you have any research on this product? Have you seen it? I can fact check with my previous business partners. Okay, I understand Facebook ads. I understand how to run them. I understand what's needed to make them successful, what creatives are needed, when to switch off unprofitable ads, the importance of setting up, you know, the importance of web development, the importance of understanding conversion rates, the importance of upsells and value ladders and increasing lifetime value of customers, the importance of understanding that as things scale over time, cost per click becomes more expensive. So you combat that with quadratic marketing and word of mouth, increasing the user experience. These are just, and I'm not just talking about them like a textbook because I've done all of these things. So when you do them and you experience them, and I continue to grow skills now, what happens is they bioaccumulate to a point where it kind of all just comes together and you won't realize it, okay? Maybe if you're just starting out in business, you think this is going to be the $1 million business, and it's not. It's not the $1 million business. It's not your first one. But I guarantee you by the 12th, the 15th, the 16th, the 18th, the 80th, the 100th, you'll have enough skills that you'll get it. And so as long as you just don't quit, you'll get there. And, you know, now, like I said, I'm in stage 2 that I feel. I've gone through stage 1, which is the hardest by far. You have to put in the grunt work. You have to be, you know, that comes down to developing a mindset more than anything. The business skills will come regardless of whatever industry you're in, okay? But it's the mindset of constantly learning, constantly never giving up, being tenacious and being meticulous and understanding that you're going to be meticulous with details and just continue to strive to learn. And once you do that, it will take, you can't skip volume. And I'm really going to explain that in a second. You can't skip volume. You can't skip time spent in the trenches. It's like jiu-jitsu. You can't skip the time spent on the mats. It just doesn't work. Okay, sure, some people, very, very small percentage of people may get lucky and build 7-figure businesses their first go, and that's fine, okay? But for us normies, we got to put in the fucking work, and that's good, okay? That develops the characters that you need to become unbeatable, because when you compete with those people that got lucky, okay, they'll say to you, yeah, well, I built a 7-figure store the first time. And you say to them, cool, it took me 6 years, it took me 7 years, but now I'm building 3, I can build them instantly every time. And they'll know deep down they got lucky. And it's not even about like on a competition level. They know if they're it's not about an insecurity level. It's about if they were to compete against you, they're thinking in the back of their mind, maybe I just got lucky that one time with that store, okay? It's very hard for them to continue on. It's very hard to beat work ethic, and it's so important. You know, I'm drilling into you every video, but stage 1 is essentially just work ethic, putting in the work and mindset, not giving up. Stage 2 comes once you've got multiple profitable businesses, you understand the process now, and you're essentially switching into being like, I'm going to stick with this long term. And now how do I maximize my leverages? How do I build out on leverages? And that's essentially what I'm working at now. Like I'm still working on reducing churn rate across businesses, learning the skill of incentivization and higher levels of psychology for understanding, you know, leverage by leveraging software, all these different things that I have to do in stage 2. This is going to take an even longer period of time. I said stage 1 takes a long period of time, but stage 2 takes an even longer period of time. But it's you've developed that skill already, so it's not hard anymore. Plus, you already have money, you already have capital, you're already successful. So, what happens after stage 2? It moves into stage 3, which is something that I don't need to look at yet. But towards the end of stage 2, you'll be basically maxing out your leverage vehicles. So you'll be, you know, like say for example, the YouTube videos I put out. They'll be available on every platform known to man and woman. No, every platform known to man. I'm not going to be politically correct. See how we're conforming? Okay? they're on every platform known to man. They're in every language humanly possible. Okay? And I've basically capitalized on every piece of leverage that I can. So stage 3 goes more into the stage of becoming removed from the business and becoming an investor and becoming these things. And these are things that I don't have to worry about yet, and I'm fine with that. They're not things that I want to be doing. I don't want to remove myself from the business. That's the crazy part. Stage 2 is the fun bit. I don't want to remove myself from the business and be just like operating from a distance. I want to be in there in the trenches, enjoying every single day. And like once you've developed that mindset in stage 1, you're fucking unbeatable. Because to have this mindset, if your mindset is, oh, I just want to make money, which mine used to be, which is fine. I just want to make money, to do this, to do that. It's very hard to compete with someone like me who just wakes up every day and loves the fucking grind, genuinely loves the grind. So they're the 3 stages. And I've really only learned that recently this year. I feel like I've started to understand about the stages a little bit more. So this is why I do these podcasts, because they're transparent. And, I can look at my progression over time. And this is only a year. Imagine if I'd been putting this out, how valuable this would have been from the very start, before I had successful businesses, before I had any success in e-com. I should have been putting these out saying like, I'm trying this, I'm testing that, my wins, my losses. That would have been insanely valuable. But the best time to start is now. And that's why I'm like, I'll start here, because imagine in the future when I'm worth $100 million and I can look back and be like, that was 7-figure Mac talking. This is big 9-figure Mac talking. This is the difference, okay? This is what we've moved to, and I can show the whole journey and show how I've adapted and changed. And hopefully that helps you to get there and helps you skip some of the progress as well. Helps you make these stages a little bit faster. Now we have a lot to go over. Like I said, it's now in compounding stage, which is exciting for me, but everything's just a number. Like I said, we went from 500 in the AdSense rev-ish. It was around 5 to 550 to now it's 6. Like it's just... And that's in the last couple days, it's starting to compound. And the cool thing about YouTube is it shows. It's like your hard work is paying off. All these extra videos you're putting in, you've gotten this much more reach. You've gotten this much more traffic. It shows you that what you're lacking is really volume and putting in the work. But then the sad thing is I look at it and there are so many videos I would love to film for everyone each day. On top of all the Onlyfans content that I put out, I have so much value I can provide in the e-com space that I really only have the e-com stuff for people inside of the hive mind. But I want to drop e-com videos every day. I want to drop Facebook Marketplace videos, but you have to be... I want to drop business in general videos, which is what I'll be doing more inside of the success stories playlist. I'll be giving out things on like churn, leverage, all these sort of things I talk about in the podcast, but in depth. And I might go into depth in like those videos about how to apply them in e-commerce, how to apply them in OnlyFans, how I would do it in a new business if I was setting up new business ideas or a service business. There's just so much. There's just too much. And it's like, I look at people like Bia His channel. He's a channel that I watch. And, he's got 1 million subs, but he's constantly like, he has his main businesses, but he's showing him trying different things. And I'm like, fuck, bro, how do you have the time? But then I realize he produces a video a week or a video every 2 weeks, a video every month. And whilst they're higher quality and he has time to try and test these things, okay, I'm putting out videos a day, multiple. So you have to understand where you are and you have to understand that you got to not chase the shiny object. You've just got to put out the most value you can every single day. But that's the thing that I'm trying to learn. Like, that's the 4 pillars of leverage I have. I can't put in any more time than I'm putting in each day. So what could I leverage is, leverage these other opportunities to get more reach and exposure and more value out there to people. Now, also, if you've watched back towards the start of this year in the potties, if you remember, I talked about information overload. And this is legitimate, okay? I'm trying to think. You can't see it on Instagram at the moment, but you will be able to soon once my IG's back to normal. When I first started business, okay, I was broke and living with my mum, if you know the story, and I ordered these books off Gumtree, and the dude put the listing 100 business books, and it was more than that. It was like 140 books or something. And essentially, I spent the entire year there just reading books at my mum's house. One of the first books I read was Tony Busan's speed reading book. It taught me how to speed read. And I sat there the entire year on her couch reading 2 to 3 books a day. Legitimately 2 to 3 books a day. And then, There's different ways in which you read them. Some you skim read through and then you reread them again so that you cement, your memory, because long-term memory is based on basically this thing called spatial recall, your ability to recall information over elongated periods of time, as well as that to apply different stimulus and things to make them sentimental. There's a whole, I'm not going to get into all of that. But essentially, people don't understand. I put in the work in terms of reading books. Like, I can honestly say, and you'll be able to see on my IG stories, I've read over 700 books. It'd be more than that now, on just business, psychology, marketing, and self-improvement. So to do with like mindset, and to do with, the psychology of winning, and to do with how to read faster and how to absorb information and retain information. And all of these books that I've read, okay? And whilst they were extremely important for the first stage, so people say, I've been putting in the work. Have you read 700 books as well? Because I did that in the time that I was also building businesses. Have you read 700 books? Otherwise, you can't say you've been putting in the work. But this ain't a flex. This is to say that, whilst I have all that information, okay, I've put in all of this information, you get to a point where then it's just an overload to add in new information, because there's so much conflicting information. There's so many conflicting things that you kind of just need to pick a few key bits of information that are relevant and stick with them. And if you remember, I was talking about this on the podcast. And so I've been testing that, and I've reduced the amount of books that I've read significantly this year. I've read a few, and a few extra ones just because I enjoy reading. But I've stuck with essentially just $100 million offers from Alex Hormozi, The Science of Getting Rich as an audiobook, just to keep the instillment of mindset in myself. And I've maybe read, another couple a few times over. But really, they're the main books. I've read a few books on churn as well to deal with specific problems within the business, and reread them and applied those principles. But I've reduced the amount of books I've read, and by reducing the information overload, and also now removing social media and removing comparison and looking at people and replying to pointless messages, the amount of money that I've generated this year is far in excess of what I've generated in other years. And I can't tell you, unfortunately, when that point's going to come for you, because for me, it was kind of like I just felt like I was overwhelmed with the amount of information. I actually heard Elon Musk talking about this the other day. Joe Rogan was on a podcast with him, and he was saying, what about planes? Couldn't Tesla do Tesla planes? And Elon was like, and he was like, yeah, but that's a whole nother road. And Joe Rogan was just laughing, and he's like, have you thought about it? He's like, he's like, I thought about it, and he's like, I had to stop myself because I've already got so much else on. He's like, my CPU, my brain would just max out. There would be no more room. It would be too much information overload. And I was like, I'm glad to see even Elon has a limit, because he's a fucking freak of nature. But I was like, for me, I felt that almost like I was absorbing too much and too many things, and then too many different strategies and ways I could have went. And by just reducing, down to a very select amount of YouTubers, a very select amount of books, and focusing on a very select handful of problems. So, reducing churn, just certain elements within building YouTube, and how to build out a YouTube channel long term. By reducing to just that key information, I've made more money than I've ever made. So it's insane. I don't know I can't really give you the tip for that, unfortunately, but you'll know when it comes. I guess overload yourself until the point where you know your limit. Okay, this is going to be a big potty today. We've got more updates to go, but stick around. We're going to get into the Onlyfans content soon. And like I said, we're going to look at the key methods and setting up your profile for success. But hit subscribe. Whilst we're talking about OnlyFans as well, I want to talk about OnlyFans 2.0 coming out. It's going to be monstrous. It's the amount of shit that's inside of OnlyFans 2.0. I want people to get it and be like, it needs to be quadratic in nature. They need to get it, and then they need to tell their friends instantly, oh my fuck, bro, you need to check this out. That's what needs to happen. And for that to happen, the amount of work I'm putting into this is it's all the pillars of value that I analyze and talk about, and I'm like, how can I make it fast? You plug it in, and the results come instantly. If you're doing 6, you're going to go to 7 figures. If you're doing 5, you're going to go to 6 figures. If you're doing nothing, you instantly set yourself up so that you accelerate how quick you move through all these stages. On top of that, how can the information be so valuable that it's like, oh my fuck, I've never heard any of this, which some of this shit you've never seen. And then how can, you'll just want to tell people about it, okay? How can the effort be so easy and so reduced that it takes basically no effort, that someone who puts crayons up their nose could fucking succeed by doing this? How can I increase the likelihood of success, like even new flakers that come on board and even the dumb people that come on board come inside the hive for 1 or 2 days and then churn, like they're the very small, we have a very small churn rate, but even those, you know, the churners, how can I get them to succeed? Because if I can even help a few of those people shift their mindset as well to about putting in the work and making it seem so easy that they stick and then they develop that mindset over time, that would be massive. So it's like, how can I help the crayon sniffers as well? The way I'm asking this business is like, how could I take, like, I have this test at home essentially, and it's like, if I was to develop something, how could I, and if you don't know my stepdad, he's like a big 6'5" fucking Dutch dude, was in the army. He has zero patience for fucking anything. Like, he'll just, any technology, if he hits a website and a pop-up pops up, he's like, fuck, and clicks off it. Whilst that's not a good trait to have, okay, and he clicks off and then he just won't even buy from that website. I won't do anything. I think to myself, how can I make it so simple that like he could click through it and have a great user experience? These are frameworks that you set up inside your mind. So OnlyFans 2.0 is going to be insane. And then on top of that, every 1.5 to 2 years, I'm going to fully revamp all the information inside the hive. Because I teach frameworks, I just want the videos to be sexier. And then the strategies, okay, will also be revamped and upgraded. So it's insane. Now, I've talked about this topic, so I'm just going to breeze over it. We've already talked about it today. You know, boring work is the key. Show up each day. Do the boring work that's bringing result. It's bringing action. Whether you want to or not, okay, most of the traits, and I'm telling you this because I've pulled it out of myself, is that laziness is the key. If you turn off the gas when things get easy, see that? That's the bright light you'll be seeing, because you'll be going to fucking the afterlife poor. And they'll be like, oh, you made it here. See that? Okay, when it gets easy, you really need to hammer down and put in the work. And it's like, show up every day, do the boring actions for a long amount of time, and you'll succeed. And that leads into this second last point, which is, I had a friend, right? And he was a work colleague of my mate's, and we become friends when he was coming around hanging out with my mate. And he messaged me so much, like 6 months ago, so much before I was leaving to travel the world. And he was messaging me saying, bro, I want to do YouTube. I'm 100% committed. Like you would read these messages that like long stories like, bro, I 100%, I'm going to stick with it. I can promise you. Like, and I said, bro, there's no point unless you're willing to put in 5-10 years of this. Like, it has to be something you got to stick with. Bro, 100%, you know, asking me for advice, asking me, you know, put out a video, bro, comment on my video, Anyway, adamant for like the conviction you would see is like unheard of. And this is why you can't, the people who talk conviction but don't back it up with work ethic, okay, it means nothing, and it devalues yourself as well. Because when I look now, okay, I realized he's been pretty quiet. He hasn't messaged me. The messages have been more and more sporadic over time. And I looked and I compared our 6 months of video uploads and his video uploads within 6 months. In the first period while he was talking about that, he put out 3 videos in 2 days. Like, that's some serious shit. Then there was some issues, okay, and he put out another video about a month and a half later. Then, okay, he put out another video 2.5 months later. And then another video 2 and a bit months later. And so me and him, you don't realize we've had the exact same period of time. He's uploaded a grand total of 6 videos. In that same period of time, what have I done? 100 videos, 100 podcast episodes, plus 30 other videos just on YouTube alone. Not to do with anything else that's been done or any other, and that's not including shorts. Like if you're looking at shorts that I've put out 1 every day, and I was putting out 3 to 4 of them a day on TikTok before I've changed the TikTok strategy. You know, I've put out 400, 500 videos in that space of time to his 6. And then you can see the difference that is transliterated across the board into results. Volume, okay? So People use this thing, and you know, I can tell when people aren't gonna succeed almost by them messaging me saying this. And if you message and you feel the need to say this, okay, this used to be me as well. Okay, if you're spending time messaging people going, bro, I am going to make so much fucking money. I'm going to be so rich. You wait and see. I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. Do you know why rich people aren't doing that? Not because they're already rich. It's because of the fact that, you know, they have their goals. They talk about them frequently, but they spend their time working. They're not spending their time trying to get validation from others. What you're trying to do is skip the hard work by talking about the hard work you're going to put in rather than going and doing it. It's almost like a double procrastination. And so I can tell when people are overly pumped and they message me, bro, you wait and see, I'm going to be so fucking rich. 3 years from now, you're going to remember my name. You know how many people have messaged me that? You just wait and see. Like some people I said, no, bro, I don't have time to work with you. That's fine. I'm going to make it on my own. I'm going to be so fucking big. You wait and see. You'll remember my name to come. Bro, I don't remember your name. But I've scrolled through and I've looked on Instagram and I'll go back down messages if I'm spam DMing or whatever. And I'll go, oh yeah, I click that and I look through that person's profile. Still poor. Still didn't put in the work. Because you were busy telling everyone about how you're going to put in the work rather than going and getting to fucking work. And there's nothing wrong with seeking new information and learning. You should always be doing that. Fuck, I keep spitting because I got the new tray in today. But most people use it as a procrastination for putting in the work. Go put in the work. So essentially, you're not doing what you know is right. Now, last point, like I said, I already mentioned as well, all the success videos are going to be going in success secrets, and I'm going to be talking, I might even change it from the word success secret to business teachings or something, a business teachings playlist. I'm going to be going into breakdowns on all of these principles and frameworks in videos where I show you with a screen view with me as well. Rather than just reaction videos, I think the best way to do it will be 2 reaction videos a day, a podcast, and a success secrets video or an ecom video or whatever, and I'll put them all through there. So that's going to be in the playlist, and today I'm going to break down how to lead generation. So how to get leads and how to quantify leads, how to get better leads and why you would want better leads. I'm going to break down all of that significantly. So all of these frameworks that I teach, no matter what business you do, okay, and this is me scaling in a way because I'm moving out niche woods. These can apply to any business, whether you're in e-commerce, okay, or Onlyfans, you're one of the main people who watch this channel, whether you're in this business, it doesn't matter, or whether you're in a different business, it doesn't matter because the frameworks are applicable throughout. And then the last thing, before we do this, we get into the OnlyFans content, is the 4 pillars of leverage. Do you remember what they are? You know, I talk about how to remember things, and people say, oh, you have a fucking great memory. Oh, how do you remember so much information? You're an expert. It's reinforcement and spatial, like I talk about, space repetition, but reinforcement as well. When you repeat something enough, повторяйте, repeat it, okay, it becomes ingrained, it becomes cemented in the brain. So what are the 4 pillars of leverage? Hopefully you remember. And a good way to remember is to write them down. So leave them in the comments. And what I've been getting Hive members to do is leave an example, because then it really becomes real and it really becomes remembered. So you'll constantly bring them back when you need them. Write down in the comments the 4 pillars of leverage and how you can apply them. I'm not going to tell you what they are, okay, but there's 4. I'll give you what they start with just to recap. 1 starts with C, 1 starts with M, 1 starts with S, and 1 starts with P or L. It can be either. So leave me an example down below in the comments. Now, let's get into it. I can just not sitting comfy today. Plus, it's just that little bit. Like, the camera is perfect today. It's never been so level in its life and so straight, and it's good, but I'm not level. Like, I'm irregular to the camera. Okay, let's get into the OnlyFans content. Now, we got some juice here. The first thing is optimizing your profile for success. So to do that, you need to hit subscribe here on YouTube. No, to optimize your profile for success, you need the frameworks and principles that I've talked about before. You need to understand, okay, a content hierarchy. I'm not going to break these all down. You need to understand a content hierarchy. You need to understand premium pricing. If you don't know these things, I have so many other videos on the channel you can watch. And soon they'll be in that business principles, which will make it easy because I can say refer to the pricing module, refer to this, refer to that. And these are already all within inside the Hive mind as well. So if it's OnlyFans you're trying to make money on e-commerce, either of those two, or YouTube, you should be in the Hive because they're broken down into 3-minute videos. They're concise. Now, when it comes to profile, okay, setting the profile, like I said, you need the content hierarchy. Okay, you need to understand lifetime value of a customer. In OnlyFans, you need to understand churn. You need to go and look up what churn is. And you need to be charging a premium. These are 4 big things that you need to do to be successful. And then the main thing, okay, is you need to have an exit strategy. Talk about this nonstop. You're not going to succeed without a plan. If you don't know how much money you want to make, okay, and what that money is going to be used for, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to compete with me, who shows up every day. And you might say, Mac, you talk about so much of the same shit in your videos. Yes, show up, repeat the boring work. This is what ingrains it into your mind. This is what success is. It's showing up and doing the grunt work every single day, okay? You need a plan because you're not going to be able to compete with someone like me who's happy to do the grunt work. Someone who's happy to sit there 10 hours every single day on Tinder driving traffic. You're not going to be able to compete, okay? It doesn't matter if you learn to leverage and these other things later on for scaling, but you're not going to be able to compete with someone who's willing to do the grunt work because even if it's not sitting there on Tinder all day and I've automated that process and I've moved that to multiple phones and have VAs sitting there doing it, okay, I'm sitting there doing the grunt work on the next thing, the higher leverage opportunity. And you can't compete with someone who's got that grunt mentality. You know, you look at MMA fighters when they go to murky waters, and you know, I love Conor McGregor, he's one of my favorite fighters, but one of his battles is he fills up with lactic acid, and it's not even really a cardio thing. People think it's a cardio thing. It's a lactic acid thing and a lack of grunt. And once he gets into the dog fight, he does not want to be there. People can drag you into murky waters. And that's the thing is, like, you look at people who can put up the dog fight. Trust me, if you've ever done what's called a shark tank in MMA, you'll understand whether or not you've got what's in you for business. Because business is a harder domain than MMA by far. And business is long grunt work. And if you've ever done a shark tank, you'll know, okay? And I know you're like, this is the OnlyFans stuff, but trust me, you need this if you want to succeed with OnlyFans. You need to understand, you need to put in the grunt work. And a shark tank is the quickest way to find out. And a shark tank's essentially, you're thrown in the ring, okay? And then every single round, so it might be 3 minutes, 1 minute rest, 3 minutes, 1 minute rest, and the rounds can change on, like, in MMA, one might be boxing, then one might be kickboxing, one might be wrestling, one might be ground and pound, one might be against the wall, get up, one might be whatever, bag work drill. Every single round, a new fresh opponent comes in and puts the sauce on you. You're not meant to feel good at the end of it. You're meant to get dragged to murky waters and see what you've got. The last couple rounds, you're getting kicked, thrown around, launched, fucking tripped, swept, and you've just got to get back up as hard as you can. And that's the same thing in business. If you're competing against someone who's going to put in the grunt work, get back up, do the rounds, put in the reps, okay, you're not going to be successful. And you don't even know what your own success is, okay? So how do you define when you've actually made it? You won't succeed. Ladies, if you're watching this, please have a fucking exit strategy. Most of the managers know what they want the money for, but I find a lot of creators, they get demotivated because other girls make more, or 1 month they make a little bit less. They get demotivated, they fizzle out of it, and then they've got the stigma of, you know, being an OnlyFans girl, plus they still don't feel fulfilled or happy, or because they don't know what their goals were. So have an exit strategy. Now let's get into how to make money from day one, because that's really what you're here for, is how can I make money? What's working right now? What's the hottest thing? And you've heard me mention it a few times already. It's so fucking simple. Go ahead, get a phone, or get 10 phones off Amazon or 10 phones off Friend. There's a multitude of strategies you can use. The principles are the same. Get 10 phones, or we're doing this maximum scale. Get photos of yourself, different photos on each, so that Tinder doesn't read the metadata and ban you. Create 10 profiles of yourself. Get 10 Tinder Gold accounts. Okay, you can. If you're saying, oh, but I don't want to link up the same card on my Apple ID because they'll know, just go buy the fucking prepaid $100 cards and buy 6 months of Tinder Gold. Go buy fucking 5, 6, 10 of those $100 prepaid cards. Load them up. Or you can just use one free account at the moment if you can't afford it. That's fine. Sit there swiping on cunts all day, matching. Chat with them, have genuine chats. Okay, remember, these are sales chats, so be persuasive, okay? Don't mention anything to do with OnlyFans. Just say, oh, I'm a content creator, I'm this, I'm that. Be flirty. Then get them to add you on Snapchat. Then from Snapchat, okay, Linktree. You're removing links from Tinder as well, which is going to remove the chance that you get banned. And Tinder doesn't mind you referring people to your Snapchat. That's normal. That's what Tinder thinks people do naturally. You're trying to imitate a human. You know, you're a girl that's getting these dudes to message you on Snapchat instead. And then from Snapchat, okay, get flirty, start to send a little bit of softcore pics and then drive them across to Tinder. If you have all the other stuff right, the content hierarchy, the frameworks, the understanding lifetime value of a customer, understanding value, premium pricing, you'll already be set to make hundreds of dollars a day from day one. And if you think that's a joke, we have people making $6,000 a day. We have people already doing 100K months now. 100K months inside the hive, 7 figures a year with OnlyFans. So now, long form marketing is very, very simple. And I'm going to break down something that I haven't shared in other videos. For the TikTok marketing, you're just going to run organic posts, plus you're going to run paid ads on an ad account. For an ad account, this is how you structure. You create 10 creatives in bulk, okay? Sit there once a week. You need to do 10 new creatives every single week. Create 10 creatives, 1 campaign, 1 ad set, 10 creatives. Let it run its dues, okay? Put on 50 a day, 100 a day, whatever you can do with a profitable ROI. Or if it's not profitable now, that's fine. As long as you can sustain it, give it a few weeks, give it a month. Each week, at the end of the week, go through the data, assuming your account hasn't been banned. Go through the data and turn off the creatives that got the worst metrics, i.e. the worst cost per click, the worst CPMs. Turn off those, okay? Turn off those creatives and dump your 10 new ones into that exact same campaign filled with more data. Go through a week again from then, turn off the shitty ones. Keep doing that and eventually you'll optimize to the point where you have 6, 10, 12, 14 high converting ad sets. And over time they'll fatigue and that's why you keep dumping in new creatives, especially on TikTok. TikTok heavily favors new creatives. So just pump creatives. And that's all you're doing long term, okay? Very, very simple. And whilst it may not see the profit straight away, it takes a little bit of time to build up and you can build it quicker by being controversial. And I talk about controversy and controversy marketing. Make them as controversial as possible. Play around with allowing comments and disallowing comments based on how fast your accounts and creatives are getting banned. Last thing, okay? YouTube. All your ladies and you as managers should have a YouTube channel. As a manager, you should be every day putting up a video talking about this is what we do inside of OnlyFans, okay? This is how the marketing works. This is the processes. This is this. Credit the hive mind. No, you should be talking about these principles every single day, the things that you're working on, okay? You should be showing results from your client and you should be using that, driving everyone to an opt-in page where you're looking for new talent, constantly hiring new talent, higher opportunity vehicles. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I've got shitloads more to film. And I wish I could film 10 of these a day. I wish my voice would not allow me to, but I wish I could do one of this on ecom. I wish I could do one of this on that, one of that on that. Then reaction videos, then this, then that. But we're capped. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find a way to clone myself. But in the meantime, get your finger, clone its way down to the subscribe button. Hit subscribe, join the Hive Mind if you want to fast track your process. You want to consolidate all this information into little quick A to Z actionable steps. That's why I invented the Hive. You know, it's just quick, follow this, follow this, follow this, profit. Follow this, follow this, follow this, profit. Join the community. You can ask for the new strategies. You can be constantly chatting with people, finding new girls. We don't just have managers inside the Hive. We have a shit ton of managers. We have a shit ton of creators. And they're constantly all working with each other, helping each other. So make sure you join the Hive. We're growing every single day. We're growing fast. And I'm going to be putting the price up soon. So links down below. Hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Paka.